This is a quick tutorial on how to set up the Zillow app on your phone so you can effectively search it, use it as a search tool, because I know a lot of people are out searching for real estate, and a lot of times they're doing it on mobile. Most of the searches start on mobile, probably 80 to 90% of searches start on mobile. So you're using the Zillow app, and in order to really use it effectively, you need to set it up. So I'd already logged in and really didn't log into my account. I just allowed location settings. It's the only thing I've done to this app so far. But I want to show you the other changes that you want to set up. And you'll probably want to sign up for your own account, but you can figure that out. The first thing you want to look at here is the listing types. So right now there's 2,047 results, for sale and potential listings. This is the one that kind of causes the most problems. I also want to point out down here in the map, you see all these little dots? Well, there's not 2,047 dots down here. It's just that there's 2,047 properties that meet the criteria, and they sort of consolidate them as we get into larger scales. So you'll see those change as we go through this. But you do want to change potential listings, because these are properties that may never go on the market. Foreclosed just means a bank has actually gone through the foreclosure process and taken possession of the property, but it might be another year or more for that property to go on the market. Pre-foreclosure just means that somebody has missed a payment, so they've gotten a nice little love letter from an attorney or from the trustee saying, "Hey, remember we want to receive your money every month." And then you have people that consumers that own homes usually are offering to sort of make me move. In other words, you pay me my price, I might consider moving. Uh, so you really want to turn these off because they're not really properties that are on the market and may never be on the market. Then you go to the for sale properties, and this is of course assuming you're looking for a property to buy. And you have a different couple of types here. You have by agent, by owner, new construction, foreclosures, coming soon, auctions. You can also select pending and under contract with in conjunction with any of these, and it will show you the pendings that are associated with those, meaning that somebody already has accepted an offer on it. The owner's already accepted an offer on it, but it just hasn't closed yet. So you probably won't be using this much. So let's talk about these different types. I'm going to start from the bottom here. The first one is the auctions. You probably don't want that because they require generally a cash payment. They're generally sold as is, and you may or may not be able to inspect them. And sometimes they still have people occupying the property. So I'd turn that off. The coming soon is an interesting feature. It's only available to premier agents. And when I say premier agents, I mean agents that pay Zillow to advertise on their platform. So agents that are paying Zillow to advertise can put their sort of coming soon listings. And again, these properties may or may not come on the market even in a time frame. Yesterday, I was looking at this. It's first part of August. There was a property that was coming soon, and it said due to hit market on July 21st. Well, it's almost 2 weeks past that, and it still wasn't on the market. So be careful with these coming soons. Foreclosures. A lot of times I get calls on foreclosures, and people they're looking for a deal usually. Foreclosures used to be a deal about 5 or 10 years ago, but foreclosures now are often very sell for retail price or pretty darn close. Sometimes the condition be really good, sometimes the condition not so good. But usually the seller, which is a bank, isn't going to do any repairs on the property, so it's sort of as is, and sometimes you may or may not be able to turn on the utilities at the properties. So you can keep this selected, it's fine, it's just not a good one to just select by itself. New construction, not all new construction is advertised by agent. Sometimes builders just advertise it, so you might want to check that if you're looking at new construction. For sale by owner just means it's not being used, they're not using an agent to help them sell it. Sometimes you can get a little bit of a discount because most buyers think, okay, you're saving some money, I want to save some money too. And I'm happy to work with for sale by owners, but that's one way to search them, and maybe you don't want to deal with them. The next is your for sale by agent, which is your typical agent assisted, realtor assisted sale. So I'm going to turn off the coming soon. I don't really care about foreclosures, and maybe you're not really looking for new construction because new construction is often a little bit of a price premium. So you turn those off. The next thing you want to do here is probably select your price because you've probably been approved for a certain level. Let's say you've been approved up to, I don't know, 350. That's a very healthy price in our local market. And you'll notice the dots are changing down here. And I generally recommend to put some sort of bottom on it because down in the $30,000 or $40,000 range, you're probably not going to find some very nice homes, assuming you don't want to do a whole lot of work on it. And let's say 200 is sort of your bottom end of things. So that's your price range. And then your home type. This is another important one that you do want to change. As most people are probably looking for single family homes, or maybe they're specifically looking for condos or co-ops. We really don't have any co-ops in our local area. It's more urban areas. And then there's manufactured homes. Manufactured homes, sometimes you might want to limit those because they can have challenges with getting a loan on them. So I'll take those off. I'm not quite sure why they have apartments in here, but I guess it's for the when you're looking at rentals. So you probably turn off apartments. Maybe you are looking for a townhome. That's fine to leave that there. And then this is unimproved land or lots. So property without a structure on it generally, or at least not a living structure. So you might want to turn those off. So you probably want those three selections. If you're just looking for single family homes, I would turn the condos and townhomes off too. And then more. This is where you just get specifics on the type of property that you're looking for. Maybe you want a minimum of two bedrooms and two baths, or 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. That's what most people do. Or 4 bedrooms or 5 or more. So if you okay with 3 to 4 bedrooms, you want to select both of those, or 5 bedrooms. You can show the schools, HOA fees, condo association fees, lot sizes. I wouldn't necessarily select some of these other things like must have AC. Most properties are going to have that, or that's something that you should look at when you actually go to the property. If an agent or an owner hasn't necessarily selected this, they forgot it, they missed it, then you're going to start reducing the results that you see, and maybe you'll miss out on a good house. And you hit apply. And again, the dots change a little bit. And if you zoom in, well, I just selected one dot, but a single dot doesn't necessarily mean, yeah, see, there's just one property there. So here I happen to select that one dot, but there's actually 3 or 4 properties here that fall in that area. But that's the basics on how you set up the Zillow app and use it effectively for your home search. And if you wait a little bit or click the buttons below, I'm going to add some more detail information about the Zillow search and how it works, and what other features of these selections that you can make. But I wanted to give you a quick tutorial on how to set this up and use it most effectively. Because a lot of times when I'm working with a client, I get a call and they want to see a home that's in that pre-foreclosure level, and they really shouldn't even be looking at those because, like I said, those pre-foreclosures, they're just not coming on the market, at least not anytime soon, or it might not come on until the person's really ready to sell. But I'm 804 Michael, or my number is 804-642-4235 with Keller Williams Realty in Richmond, Virginia. Happy to help you here or anywhere in the country because I've got a network of people all over the world that I can refer you to, some quality agents that will take good care of you and put you first. So reach out to me. And again, my number is easy to remember just because it does spell my name. It's 804 Michael. And stay tuned for a little bit deeper dive into this cool app that will serve you well, at least until my new technology comes out. So as I said, I wanted to get a little bit deeper into these different types of properties. For sale by agent, like I said, is that typical agent assisted property. It means there's another agent on the other side. It's probably in the MLS. One of the challenges with Zillow and Realtor.com, for some reason, they still sometimes have a challenge with curating their data. Because for whatever reason, especially if a property was for sale by owner and then it gets listed by an agent, which is a high likelihood, sometimes there's two listings in Zillow at the same time and it causes conflicting information. And depending on how you search, it comes up different ways. So the MLS is really kind of the king of data, but Zillow is a good tool to use it. Uh, by owner, most of these are input by the owner themselves into Zillow. Sometimes they come from the MLS because there are agents out there that will do a flat fee or a reduced service and just post it in the MLS and then it comes over, but it's still a for sale by owner and tagged that way. Again, new construction, not always is new construction. It's generally a price premium, probably about 5% price premium, 6% price premium over a comparable resale home, even if the home's only been used for 2 years. There's still a premium on new construction. And again, I mentioned foreclosures. Foreclosures aren't really the deal that they once were. And you'll notice too down here, there's foreclosed and foreclosures. These two are not the same thing. So foreclosed is, as I said before, properties that have been foreclosed on by the bank, gone through the foreclosure process. Person should probably isn't living there anymore, unless it's a squatter. And but the bank hasn't actually put it on the market. Again, these pre-foreclosures are properties that somebody didn't pay a note and they get a letter called what's called a lis pendens. And it basically is a love note from the lender saying, hey, remember us? We want to hear from you too. And Make Me Move, again, as consumers that are putting their house sort of on the market, maybe testing the waters. It's just something it's it's a way for them to sort of do a for sale by owner before they do a for sale by owner, I guess. So they're coming soon. I did want to show you this coming soon feature though, because it's not utilized very much, at least in our local area. It's reserved for premier agents, and because only premier agents can put in the coming soon properties. And it's homes that it will soon be on the market. So let's look and see. I want to reset this to any prices, and that's fine. I want to reset this just so we get the most opportunity to find one. And I know there's one here. Yeah, there's one. Let's look at this one. So this one was supposed to be on the market July 30th, and currently it's August 7th, so a week late, and it hasn't come on yet. That's kind of what a coming soon looks like. Another one here. So on market August 16th, so we're not there just yet. That one's supposed to be coming soon too. So that's what coming soons look like. The coming soons are a potential challenge for consumers, because what they don't really what you may not realize is a coming soon is an agent trying to get interest in the listing. And sometimes it's an opportunity for them to do what's called dual agency. Dual agency is a time where a buyer and a seller are represented by the same agent. And I might ask yourself, well, how does that really work? Well, it doesn't really, because while it's illegal in Virginia, if an agent enters into a dual agency relationship with a buyer and a seller, then they can't advise either the buyer or the seller on the transaction. They can only provide information. So you don't have anybody negotiating for you on your part. You don't have anybody looking out for your best interests. anything you say can and will be used against you by the other side because the agent is supposed to pass along information from the other side uh, with basically no commentary. So that's where dual agency is really kind of a bad thing, and that's where these coming soons. It's nice to know that what might be coming on the market, uh, but you don't want to get into that dual agency agreement. Let's look at price again. I generally recommend at least some sort of a bottom on there, so because that sorts out some of the lesser desirable properties. And then you generally know either what you want to spend or what you're approved up to. So you might be approved up to 360, or let's say you're approved up to 350. Sometimes I recommend searching maybe a little bit above just to see what a few more dollars get you or what you might be able to negotiate down. The other thing I want you to notice here is watch as I slide these things. Watch the numbers. They go in $10,000 increments because there's this tendency out there for some agents to price properties at, let's say, 199, 500. Well, if I did this search and I was really kind of in the 2 to 290 price range, guess which property I wouldn't see? I wouldn't see the 199, 500 because it doesn't fit within the search. So that's one of those challenges that I think that you got to be careful with when it comes to pricing your property. If you're a seller and you have an agent that's pricing your property at 199, 500 or 199, 900, I think they're doing more harm than good. That's a trick from retail pricing. A lot of things are priced at 99 cents or $1.99 or $5.99 just because it looks different than $6. In real estate, not as big of a deal, I don't think. And in fact, these tools seem to limit you with that. With houses, with the home types, obviously houses is generally single family detached houses. Uh, that's generally what I think Zillow is referring to here. Condos, condos are interesting because condos can also look like townhomes. Condos is more of a ownership type versus townhomes is a style of home. Townhomes are homes next to one another, attached to one another. Condos are maybe look more like apartments. Sometimes they look like townhomes, but they could also be single family homes. It's all based on the way ownership works. Co-ops is something it's an interesting type of real estate that, like I said, we don't have locally here, so I won't spend a lot of time on it. But it's essentially a condominium or an apartment, but it's really you're buying shares into a corporation and being able to use the space of that corporation. Uh, so it's called a co-op. It's attached generally to an insurance product and stuff like that. But again, that's far more detail than what we need to go into here. Townhomes, again, are just generally attached homes. Apartments, I think they have this here on home type just because when you can search for rentals over here. So I generally turn those off. Lots and lands, pretty self-explanatory. Just building lots, land, might be some farm, might have some sheds or something on it, or maybe a dilapidated house. But if you're looking for that, that's how you search here. Manufactured homes. I do want to spend a little bit of time on this because manufactured homes are kind of a unique part of real estate. They sometimes get treated differently than a typical built home because lending sees them differently. They sometimes are called trailers, but there's a lot of manufactured homes that look like a real home, but they're manufactured. Now this is different than modular. Modular is a whole other beast. It's more modular is more like a typical house, but it can also cause some hiccups with lending. And usually the issue is with lending on the manufactured homes and sometimes modular homes. Again, with the more, we'll look at that again. You can do any beds or baths, but you're probably looking at a minimum. So maybe at least 2 bedrooms or maybe at least 3 bedrooms or at least 4 bedrooms. And if you select multiples, it's going to include all of these. But if you only select one, well, it's only show you the properties with 3 bedrooms. But you might be okay with 4 or 5 plus bedrooms. So make sure you do multiple selections there. Same thing, well, similar here, but the way they have this arranged, I think it's 2 plus because you might have 2.5 or 2 3/4 bathrooms, 3 or more bathrooms. This is more of a bottom end minimum of 2 bathrooms. Because we do have a lot of properties with like 1.5 baths or 1 bath. Those are going to be becoming increasingly unpopular in local real estate unless you can add a second bath pretty easily. Most of the other things I wouldn't necessarily look at searching with. Sometimes you want a little bit more uh, land, so 1+ acres, 2+ acres, up to 10+ acres, if that's important to you. Parking spots, not as big of a deal here in this local market. And one thing that I have to say about all of these kind of filters that you can put in here is it have a city view, a park view, number of days. Some of these more specific features I generally don't recommend searching by because they are dependent on the data that's being put in by either the owner or the agent or Zillow picking them up. So if you put in must have AC, most people would think that that's a good thing to put in there. But it may limit you on some of your searches because maybe somebody didn't tag it quite right. It doesn't have it doesn't have air conditioning. Maybe they said it has a heat pump, but they didn't collect AC. So it all depends on the data that's put in and how Zillow reads it. So I wouldn't necessarily use a whole bunch of these. Although square footage is generally a good thing to put in there because the money is in the square footage of built of homes. So you might want to have a minimum of 1,500 square feet, and you don't want more than, say, 2,800 square feet. Now, whenever I'm putting in numbers like this or prices, I generally go a little bit above and a little bit below of what I really want, because wouldn't it be a tragedy to, want, maybe a maximum of a 2,500 square foot home, but you miss out on a property that has 2,506 square feet. Has 6 additional square feet, it's going to kick it out of that your search if your 2,500 is your max. So you might want to pad your numbers a little bit here. And also, if you're looking for a pool, that's more likely that they're going to put that in there. But this is a curious one on waterfront. Now, I'm not sure how Zillow does all this, but I've seen agents, particularly agents, I've seen owners put their property as on waterfront, and it's got like a creek that runs through it. Like, is that really a waterfront? Not really. But in order to attract buyers, they put it on waterfront. And some of these different views too. Keywords, this can be a good thing to search, but be careful with that. And then again, you apply. So that's a little bit more in depth on the Zillow app and how to use it. You can have just the coming soons. And every time you select one of these, it goes back to the default. So be careful with that. So let's just say you're just looking for by agent. You don't want auctions because that's cash. Maybe you're okay with owners. And now you also notice this one has a lighter red than this one. That just means I've viewed that one. That was the one that we looked at previously. One thing that you can tell that you might have some settings off is the dots change or are different colors for the different things. So if you see some blue dots, it means you have the potential listings selected. And somewhere, yeah, so here's some blue dots, some blue ones that are potential listings. So pre-foreclosure or auction, it's for sale. There you go, foreclosed. When is this one coming on the market? Who knows? So if you see these different colors, you know that you've got potential listings or rentals or recently solds. But anyway, there's your Zillow app. Again, I'm 804 Michael. My number is 804 Michael or 804 642 4235. That's Michael Hottman with Keller Williams Realty in Richmond, Virginia. Happy to help you anywhere in the country. Happy to answer your questions. I've got agents all over the world that I can refer you to and Just have fun searching for your home. It's a great thing for home ownership, but be ready for it. Have a great day.